Hi, this is Stephanie Hansen, and you are listening to Dishing with Stephanie's Dish, the podcast where we talk to cool people in the food space. And today I'm talking with Kaitlyn Luhm. And Kaitlyn is somebody that I found out about through a friend of a friend, and then maybe saw through something else. But Kaitlyn, you are doing something real cool. And what she's doing is she is making miniature food jewelry. Now, I can't even really describe this to you because it's so cool, but like imagine little ramen bowls, little donuts, little slices of half-eaten pizzas. There was even a bag of marinated chicken breasts in like a little Ziploc bag that personally me and my radio partner Stephanie March loved. Welcome to the program, Kaitlyn.
Hi. It's
How
nice
did
to,
you?
I'm really excited about it.
Oh, me too. How did you start doing this art?
Yeah, I've always loved just art in general. And I've sculpted for many years with different clays. And then in high school, I found polymer clay, which has like all the properties I've ever wanted, which is, I could work as slow as I want and still be able to, have it not dry up on me or anything.
Yeah.
And you know, be able to get all the detail I want because like with softer air dry clays and stuff like you normally get in the kids section, like it just never would hold up to what I wanted.
Right.
So,
And the
yeah.
color on the polymer clays are so vivid too.
Yeah, there is a lot of variety, but it's something where I've mixed all my colors because, it's like the other thing too about like realistic foods and stuff, and just honestly probably everything is that when you have it super opaque, it's not as realistic. And so I mixed like translucent clay into everything just to get the details that I want to look how I want,
Yep.
which can be kind of tricky, but
So you are making earrings and pendants, and how do you get ideas for what live food settings you want to sculpt?
I mean, I can kind of vary. It could be just the season, and you start seeing commercials, you start seeing advertisements, and you're like, that would be kind of interesting, or maybe I will get like a custom order request. And when you get like custom order requests, then it's like, I haven't thought of that before, but now you want to branch off of that too,
Yep.
and make other things. Kind of like the marinated chicken, that seemed to be the thing that got me the most attention. But with that, even it's like, I just saw in the freezer, we just had chicken breast in a bag. I'm like, it'd be kind of really funny if I did that. I didn't think people would actually want it, but then, then people are like, oh my God, like I've never seen that before. That'd be kind of like they just want it because it's funny too.
Yeah, my radio partner Stephanie March has kind of a funky sense of humor, and she's kind of like the
Yeah.
anti everything sort of. So
Yeah.
she was so obsessed with the idea that it was something not beautiful, not complete, sort of in process. And I think that's what's unique about your jewelry. It is beautiful in that it's beautifully constructed and done, but it's like half-eaten plates of foods, and it's a piece of pizza with some of the bite out of it. It's not like what you would think it's going to be. It's more whimsical and funnier, I guess.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with like all a lot of the people I've looked up to are people who sculpt miniature dollhouse food and stuff like that. And I've learned a lot from those types of people. And that's just a common thing. So it's just that not a lot of people make it into jewelry just because it is fragile. And you know, I I was nervous to do that kind of thing, so that's why what the stuff I made was limited before, like when I first started, because I didn't want little children wearing like ceramic plates, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But eventually, I kind of just thought, you know what, people do have common sense. Like people know like it is a fragile thing, and to take care of it properly. And most people, it's like I'll look at like customer photos sometimes, or like, or them telling me where they've worn them, that kind of a thing. And, a lot of people will it's kind of cool when sometimes people consider it almost like a special occasion jewelry, which like I would
Yeah.
have never, thought, I guess, of that before, because I think when people think of like mini food earrings, you think of like Claire's earrings, and you're like, well, that's just an everyday kind of type of thing, but
Well, these are pieces of art. I mean, they're so beautiful. Now, are you doing this full time or do you have another day job?
I was working at an art store full time, while doing this part time. But I had quit in the last year just because I wanted to just focus on school and then kind of see what I could do from there. And I did luck out at least that people were actually interested in my stuff. And, it's kind of, I think it is this year it's become full time, whether I like it or not. And I'm excited about that because like I've like things lined up throughout the year, and it's like I've done this, I've been selling my jewelry for like, a decade technically, but that was like at flea markets and stuff. And that was before like I ever did social media stuff. And then now with like social media, like all it takes is like one post, or
Yeah.
one thing that it just kind of everyone plays telephone, and then you're like, how the heck why are you guys all talking to me at the same time? Like, what did you see?
Yep.
But yeah.
So let's just use like the bowl of ramen earrings as an example. How long
Yeah.
does it take you to make that?
I mean, it's hard to say because I also do them in batches. So like if I make ramen, for example, I'm gonna probably make at least a few pairs,
Yep.
Um, but if I really, I guess, buckled down and just didn't eat or anything, I probably could do it in a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in a realistic sense, like it'll take me those ones did take me like a week, and that's just because of the stages. Like obviously I sculpt everything, but like I sculpt everything individually, like the noodles. Like I'm
Yes.
almost playing with like two needles, and trying to shape it.
And like
Um,
the pickles in the jar that you have for like picklers, you're
yeah.
making the individual pickle indentations and they're so small. Caitlin, I want
Yeah,
you to charge more for your jewelry.
I know. What's funny is that's been a thing, that's been a problem, I'd say, for years, because I think what people also, it's like I started, you got to keep in mind, selling at flea markets and garage sales. That was the only way I sold things for like 3 years because
Right.
I was just, and so I'm just used to people, that just being the mentality that people have,
Yeah.
and so like back in the day, I would sell them for like $8, which was just, uh, you know, there are
Yeah.
regrets, but to be fair, 10 years ago, my quality was not where it is right now.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I've been trying to be better at that. I mean, it's just like I also want to keep some things cheaper just for some people,
Yeah,
because
that's a great idea.
it's kind of like, in retail, there's always the impulse bin when you get to the
Yep.
register where you're gonna have the cheap stuff. So, it's like when I get custom orders, I like it when it's on my website, every single time people have cheesed earrings, in their cart. And now lately it's been the Pop Tart, type earrings where as long as you just have something that people are like, what, while I'm here, I'll just add
Yeah.
that, and then it
Yep.
kind of adds up on its own. So
What kind of custom work have you gotten? Like someone wants grandma's cookies or
yeah, or it's like a first date dinner, or it'll be like and I always tell people like you can never be too specific with me because I'm going off of reference pictures. So if you show me grandma's cooking, I can make it look like, grandma's cooking. Or,
yep.
if you ate at, Outback Steakhouse, it's like
You
Outback
had the
Steakhouse
onion
is,
blossom.
yeah, well the way they played it's gonna be different than if you go, somewhere else. So it's like tell me specifically, where was this first date? Where, what did
Hilarious.
what size did you get? Like, you can do whatever. And it's like it's just funny. Well, it's like I just hosted a giveaway, for example, on Instagram, and the person's like, "Oh, like anything?" I'm like I told her, I'm like, literally, it can be whatever you want. Like, I mean, it like any single food. I'm like, I mean, it could be a plate of food. I mean, it can just go
It could be a
crazy, you know?
tray. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's always funny too when you get like other artists who do it because they get it, you know? They're just like, can you just do something crazy? Can you do, I don't know, like I'm trying to even think of
Spatchcocked
recent
chicken.
things. Yeah, or like onion ring hoops or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like something really like I'm like, okay, you know, I could maybe figure that out. You know, 9 times out of 10 when someone's like, could you do this? It's always like, I probably is the answer, but I'll let you know. I'll start, you know, putzing
Yeah.
around and see. And, you know, there's very few things that I've ever had to turn away, but
So you go off of a picture and then do you draw these things too, or is it all like your technique and your skill is in the sculpting?
I, you know, sometimes I might sketch it out, but for the most part, it's kind of just I know how to do it now. Like I
Yep.
can just kind of figure it out. Um, yeah, and you know, it's kind of as you do it, you kind of start. It's kind of like if you start, even people who draw, like you might be drawing a portrait of somebody, and you're like, this kind of looks like somebody else. And you're like, well, now I'm going to draw somebody else. That person is starting to look like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
When you say that you are inspired by other people that do miniature food for dollhouses, the whole miniature world is so cool. And also, like, I don't know why I'm so personally attracted to it, but I had a dollhouse that a boy made for me in high school. And I
yeah,
always wanted one, and I never got one. And so he made me one that was so incredible. And then I met this guy later on, Paris Renfro is his name. And I used to print some of his printed materials, and he was making like mid-century modern furniture for dollhouses
yeah,
that like he was selling for a lot of money.
yeah. Well, and also it's kind of even when you like go on websites to find other vendors or resources, it sucks because you know a lot of these people are, you know, people who aren't as familiar with the internet or you know it's a web page from 2007, so it's
Yep.
kind of like you know even I'm part of the International Guild of Miniatures. I joined this last year, and you know even their website, I'm like I could help you if you really want, you know,
Yeah.
like I feel, but at the same time, I'm like, your clientele is also at the same point as you too. Like, you know, everyone's used to that kind of web page
Yeah. Yeah.
look, I guess. But it's like, you know, to me, it's like I have to jump through so many hoops to find the things I'm looking for on here.
Yeah.
And I get that maybe it's probably looked the same for a while, but I don't know. Yeah. But,
Do
and
you ever
my,
see do you ever see branching out like out of food into like, I don't know, books, comic books, greeting cards, like I don't know, anything.
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of mixed media stuff. I mean, the food stuff is what everyone just knows me for because it's just like, you know, where else can you get it sometimes, like
Right.
locally. But like I do like mixed media, like art journaling and like collaging and painting and like I've tried probably everything before because when I worked at the art store, you know, it's like you're surrounded by all this stuff and then a customer, you know, will be doing something and I'm like that is something now that I want to do and you know it's like then I start kind of mashing things together because like
Yeah.
I like doing like kind of collage backgrounds and do like a sculpted element on top, you know, that kind of a thing or um and I think the other issue is when you monetize your hobby, you know, sometimes it will change because like you know, sometimes it's like I like this year, for example, has been harder because I feel like in the beginning of the year is normally I get sick of sculpting all the orders from Christmas, you know, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna go back to the sketchbook. I'll gonna get into painting for like another month and then I'll go back. I just
Yep.
need that transition period. And I didn't quite get that this year, which is fine. Like I don't get me wrong. I don't hate what I do. I love what I
Of
do, you
course.
know. Um,
It's like
but
cooking though. Like the more
yeah,
recipes I make, the more I'm like, oh, another recipe for blah 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 soup. I've got
yeah.
30.
Yeah, you're like, how many more times can I make this? You
Yep.
know? But yeah, which is why, it's like I used to not do custom orders, and that was simply just because, I'm a one person team, and I can't, like, I have to be motivated. Like before, it's like if I didn't want to make it, I'm not going to. Like that used to be how I was
Yep.
years ago. As a teenager, I'm like, I literally work 8 hours. If I don't feel like making your custom order, I don't want to, right? But then, as you grow up, you're like, okay, if you want to make this a thing, you have to kind of look into it more, I think. And because I think the other issue is I was selling in person only. And so it's like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Like, online, requests. It's like, if I'm not going to see in person, like, it's going to, be a different thing.
Where can people find you on social, Kaitlyn?
Yeah. So I have my website, which is Luhm Studios, which is Luhm Studios. And then I have my Instagram, which is at Kaitlyn_Luhm. And Kaitlyn is Kaitlyn. Yeah.
And you guys can go and look at her just amazing work. I just wanted to talk to you because I think you're just cool and fun. And I can tell just when I saw the bag of chicken, I was like, not
Yeah.
only is she really good at this, but she's got like a funny sense of, that
Yeah.
so much of food is also like the process of the food, right? And just not the final like glamour shot. It's all the way along.
And it's like, and I love custom orders too now because it's like, because then it just makes me go down another rabbit hole of like, okay, now I want to do all these things, but I got to do your order first. And then,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well, it's super great to talk to you. I want to help spread the word so that you can
Yeah.
get custom work and not have to be making just bowls of ramen. Not that the bowls of ramen aren't amazing because
Yeah.
they are, but
Yeah.
you're a real delight and your work really tickles me and I'm a huge fan.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Kaitlyn. We'll talk soon.
Yeah.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.